Greetings, everyone. I'm David Lawrence, and welcome to the latest edition of GradTV. Before we get started, one quick housekeeping item. The MSGSA Grind Conference is coming up Friday, March 17th, and if you haven't already, go ahead and get registered now. We have workshops, lunch will be provided for you, and our keynotes will be Morgan State Professor Dr. Stacy Patton. And I promise you, she has a word that will definitely encourage and get everybody ready for the next part of their career journey. So we hope you sign up and register to join us. Again, that's Friday, March 17th, our first ever MSGSA Grind Conference. At this time, we're going to move on to the main portion of our Grad TV episode for this month, which will be our Black History Month panel. I have three lovely ladies who are here to be part of our panel, and I will allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Aries Graham, and I'm a graduate student here at Morgan State University, studying, getting my master's in science, concentration biology.
Hi, I am Siobhan Terrell. I'm a student at Morgan State University studying City and Regional Planning, master's program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anita Yawson. I'm a second semester student here at Morgan State University, and I'm studying the social work program for the master's program as well.
Ladies, thank you all so much for joining us and welcome. Glad to have you all with us. We're going to go ahead and start this panel on a quote. A central part of celebration is remembrance. And Aries, we're going to start with you. Given a set to think about that quote, what does that mean? What would you say that means in reference to Black history for you?
Could you repeat the quoting?
A central part of celebration is remembrance.
Well, what comes to mind for me, especially during Black History Month, is to remember the Black history struggle, stemming all the way from slavery up into now, civil rights, social injustice, HBCUs, like Morgan State University. That's what I am remembering. That's what that quote reminds me of.
So I was just saying the other day, during Black History Month, people tend to just post quotes and just to post posts of different significant, prominent leaders that made impactful, strides in the Black community. But what I was saying is, or what this quote resonates with me, is that Black History Month is just not about posting quotes. Black History Month is picking up where the people who you are posting about left off and continue to carry that torch and that flame with you every day. So in regards to the quote and remembrance is remembering where you come from and in order to know where you want to go in life.
As for me, I would say remembrance is going to pretty much piggyback off of these two ladies. But we have a duty and we have an obligation to honor and remember the struggles that our ancestors had endured. And not just our slave ancestors, but our parents, our grandparents, and even also to do the best that we can at the best of our ability for those who have died within our generation. People like Trayvon Martin and Tanvir Rice. Those are two examples. They lost their lives. They were precious commodities. They were precious people to not just to their families, but to everyone, to a lot of people that understand what their families had lost. And so we have to dedicate ourselves to serve and remember those who have fallen and those who are coming up behind us. Just keep marching.
Thank you, ladies. And Anita, going off of your point of remembrance, there have been talks in the African American community about remembering our story that within recent years that public education is starting to quote unquote wash away the African American story. I want to get you, for the three of you all, I want to get thoughts on how do you all feel about public education, Black history, and Siobhan, I'll start with you. Where do you agree with that? Do you agree, disagree? And with history preservation, where do you feel we're going, and what needs to be done?
So I feel that public schools don't acknowledge Black history. Growing up in the rural South, we did not have Black history programs. We learned our history in churches through Black history programs. So back to the quote that you were saying is, Black history is a continuation of the Black plight and the Black life. So Black history shouldn't only be focused in one way. It should be focused throughout life, throughout the child's life. Because I feel like Black history is another part in us as Black Americans or African Americans knowing our identity. So I feel like history, us knowing our past, is shaping who we are meant to become and how we will become successful, or how we will tackle ongoing racism, oppression in today's society.
Can you repeat the question, please?
In regards to what, with education basically trying to take out, remove, or water down Black history in public schools, where do you think we as a people need to go out? Where do you think we as a people need to go?
I would say I like to start with talking about something that I recently what has been now being currently incorporated into one of my classes. I'm taking human behavior and environment, and that's with Dr. Paula Langford. And we had an assignment that incorporates learning about the Kwanzaa principles. The Kwanzaa principles is very essential for the African American community. It's also important to incorporate those 7 principles into the social work intervention standpoint for helping our clients. And in terms of education, it helps to educate the clients in reference to how to learn about why it is that certain things that they do, like negative behaviors, for example. Why are children behaving negatively, or why are they falling behind in school, and why are they getting poor grades? Why aren't they learning up to par with their peers on their reading skills, their math skills, learning about science, English, all the important history, all the pertinent subjects. If we educators, school teachers, as well as social work practitioners and other professionals, that we help to incorporate, such as the Kwanzaa principles, and teach the young folks coming up, that will help them to become educated and strong, and to know who they are as individuals, and so that they can go and become leaders themselves, strong leaders.
All right, one more time. All right, sorry, I know it was a long question, but with the African American story basically being watered out of public schools and in education, what steps as a Black community can we do to ensure that we don't lose sight of where we've come from?
The steps that I think that we should take, which I believe steps we've kind of already taken, which is being educated at HBCUs, which that's what we're doing, and passing on the knowledge. I'm sure whenever we're ready, some of us, I'm not sure if some of us have families already or children, we should also keep that in mind, and we should tell our story. We shouldn't let other people tell our story. And now that especially people in our generation or within our generation, we're called the millennials now. So I feel like we have a certain kind of responsibility to take the torch that was passed on from us from civil rights and social injustices and things like that, that we continue on to improve and to tell our story from our perspective, and not to forget where we have come from and how far we've come, but we have so much more to go. Not only to just tell the story of like slavery and all of that, that's important, but also to tell the updated story of things that are still going on social injustices like Trayvon Martin and so many other things that have happened within our generation within the last couple of years, the Baltimore riots, all of these things that sometimes in the media is portrayed one way, but being that we live here in Baltimore, we know the real story. So that's why I just wanted to reiterate that the story needs to be told from our perspective, from the millennials' perspective, the people who are living through this time right now.
Thank you, ladies, for your input on that question. My next question for you, ladies, and I want you guys to ponder about this one. What, in your opinion, is the biggest what's the biggest lesson you've taken from our history so far that you've been able to apply yourself today? What is the biggest lesson you've taken from our history that you're able to apply to the present day? I think I'll keep going in turn, Anita. I'll let you start.
Okay, David, thank you. I would say resilience, that I've learned to become resilient, a perseverer, and I learned about the hard work ethic as well. From my mother, she learned from her parents, so that was passed on to my generation. Those three aspects I have learned from our people.
I learned that Black people are resilient, and she said also that that Black people are strong more than anything. Just when you think about how much we have been through over the past and how we are still making lemonade out of the lemons that we have been given is phenomenal. How Black people, educated Black people, are starting businesses, successful businesses, breaking all of the stereotypes and all the odds and everything that's meant to be against you to stop you, but using that as motivation is the motivation that I have used to help me get through my problems. Like, just thinking about, oh, I didn't grow up in Jim Crow, but what I'm experiencing now is nothing as bad as what we went through. So I shouldn't be complaining. I just know that I got to use that as motivation, continue to help the next generation.
I'm just going to piggyback off of both of them. Resilience, strength, courage, integrity, loyalty, all of these things, all of these words, that's what I think about when I think of our people. We've been through so much. We still are going through a lot currently, and just our strength, and how we carry ourselves every day. A lot of times you wouldn't even know. A lot of our struggles are overlooked. A lot of times, in us as being African American or Black America or have you, we are the backbone of this country. We built this country, and we the things that we have done in America, since America is the #1 country, everybody is thrives off of that. So although Black Americans might not realize it, we keep the world going. We are that integrity. We are that dignity. So I am very proud to be, a Black American. I wouldn't want to be anything else, and I hope we continue to have more dialogues like this, not just in Black History Month, but I'm just happy about it. Well, I know we have more to go, but I'm still I'm happy with the progress that we've made.
Now y'all got me in power, and that's pretty awesome. But definitely, what you three have said, I couldn't say better myself, especially this one.
May I add one more thing?
Sure.
I also like to say, I've also learned those same principles as well, not just from our own people, but also from various other cultures as well, because my life has not just been impacted by our beautiful people. It's other people that I have learned a lot of things from. It's the white Americans, our fellow white Americans. We have our fellow Latino and Hispanic Americans. We have Indian Americans. I mean, Middle Eastern people as well. And it's just, God created all nations, and we all have impacted one another. So I realized also that, like, when our people went through or was going through the civil rights movements, it wasn't just our people helping themselves. It was other cultures that assisted as well. So I just wanted to add that piece.
Thanks, Nina. And you actually gave me a perfect tie-in into my next question, sort of. As you know, March is Women's Empowerment Month, and bringing women's empowerment and Black history together. Black women in history, of course, Harriet Tubman, Mary McLeod Bethune, Madam C.J. Walker, just some of the prominent Black women figures, and of course, recently, the one and only Michelle Obama comes to mind. With that being said, with that being said, ladies, my question to you is, what would you say has been the what would you say is the biggest challenge, but at the same time, what would you say is also like the biggest accomplishment um, or the biggest positive Black woman have had like coming forth? Because, and I say that because Black women are kind of seen in theoretically and is white women, white men, Black men, white women, Black women. What would you say has been the high? What would you say is like the greatest high? What would you say is the greatest low in women's empowerment as far as making strides and being African and Black women getting into the spotlight?
Well, I'm glad that you asked me this was a very good question. I would say our high would be for me being a Black woman would be supporting the Black men in the civil rights movement and supporting our nation and coming together, being Black families, just being that supportive backbone. You know, behind every strong Black man, there's a thing that there's a strong Black woman. So I think that that is our high. Our low, if you want to call it a low, would kind of be, I would say, the feminist movement, only because me personally, I feel as though the feminist movement has a little bit destroyed the Black family because it has empowered single Black women. Nothing wrong with being single, but if we're talking about building a nation, there has to be a sort of coming together of family and of marriage and of children and household, two-parent households, and now we're at an all-time single-parent household high. A lot of our Black women are single now. A lot of our Black men are in jail, incarcerated. So I would say a number of things, not to just say that, you know, drugs, a lot of things have happened to our community where we are broken family at this point. So I would say our high would have to be when we were still all together in the 60s, still two-parent households going strong, what you would call middle Black America. We had our own schools, our own system, our own segregated infrastructure that empowered us as a Black nation. Certain things have happened, so I would say that that was our downfall. The feminist movement when we teamed up with our counterparts, white women.
As a Black woman, I would say that Black women has always been high. When you just look at Black history, it's like Shirley Chisholm was the first African American woman to run for president of the United States. People want to credit Hillary Clinton for doing that, but Shirley Chisholm did it way before Hillary Clinton. If you want to look at another historical figure, Harriet Tubman, a Black woman, freeing people to freedom. She did it over, I think it was over 20 times. She came back with a like $20,000 bond on her head. She did that. Black women have always been leading the Black community. Even today, Black women are still supporting the Black community because Black women are the highest degree holders right now in the 21st century. But I would say that our low is, I would say we have a low, honestly, because we just been, given our circumstances, we've been making the best out of it. Black women have always been using their environment and shaping their environment to make, I guess, awesomeness, honestly. No, what was your question? I'm sorry. I don't know that answer.
Well, what would you say is the biggest challenge for Black women today?
Okay, so the biggest challenge for Black women today is discrimination. Um, but I guess that would be the biggest challenge for Black people in general. Just because you have the qualifications, like my name is Siobhan, SHA apostrophe capital VON. I have a bachelor's degree in political science. I graduated with honors. If I apply for a job, oh, Siobhan, SHA apostrophe VON, that resume is on my desk. Oh, she's ghetto. She's this, all these different stereotypes that come along with your name, or your name with your Blackness, because there's a community, a Black culture shaped around Black names, or there's a Black culture is shaped around being aside from mainstream. And mainstream wants what aligns with mainstream needs. So I would think that's the biggest challenge for Black women right now. Also, the Black community right now is facing discrimination, redlining, different things that are, I guess, making our progression come at a standstill.
I would say that in reference to our highs, that every Black woman that is in this room and that is on this campus, that is in the nation and all around the world, we all represent that high because we all have dreams, we all have aspirations, we all have goals. We're persevering to accomplish something, to go beyond where that point where our ancestors have gone. They already had led the way, and they paved the way. And so we are carrying, each and every one of us are carrying that torch. I would say in reference to our love, there's obviously we're losing too many of our Black men. We're losing our people, men, women, and children. And so we have to dig down and dig deep, a little deeper, and go back to the basics, like where the civil rights leaders did, and go back to that spiritual perseverance, spiritual strength, in order for us to deal with the war that we're currently dealing with. We are losing our people senselessly because of police brutality, and so that's where education comes in, where we have to educate the children, for those who are parents. It starts at home. It starts in the churches. It's also in the neighborhoods, like in early Head Start programs. We have to educate the young ones, the little ones coming up, so that they too won't become victims. That's one of the main loads that we're dealing with. But we can overcome this as well. All the aunts, I'm an auntie. I have a 4-year-old nephew. I'm greatly concerned about him. I do not want for him to become a victim. I pray that he won't become a victim. And I'm going to do my best on my part, as well as the other family members. And of course, when I see my neighbors, and there's a lot of children in the community, and so I mean, my heart goes out to them as well. And hopefully, I'll be a parent in the future. And if not, then I'll have become maybe a foster parent. But still, I'm going to pour into these young people, like so many have poured into my life, because that's my duty. My duty is to serve.
Thank you all. And our last question, now that we're going into the month of March, this also is a perfect tie into this. Of course, Black History Month has been cornerstone since 1976 as nationally recognized. Of course, McDonald's started a recent campaign of Black History 365, but outside of McDonald's campaign, and any one of you all can just answer on it, Black History 365, what is the true essence? Let me say it like this. What is, with Black History 365, 365 days a year, of course, why isn't that more cornerstone by our culture, and what do we need to do to make sure it's commonplace? What do we have to do to make sure Black History 365 is cornerstone commonplace in the Black community and Black culture? And Durham, go ahead. What, as a Black culture, what do we have to do to make sure our history, Black history, 365 days a year, is commonplace and cornerstone in our culture and in our community?
I would say that we need to, within our family unit, we need to start having more stories passed down. That's how knowledge is retained in the family, by having these type of discussions within the family. Not even like nationally recognized Black history. It's like family history, or your great great grandmother did this, or your great great grandma is who name is this. So you at least know like where to start or what sparked your interest in knowing your identity. Like I said, Black History Month is shaping your identity and who you are. And what was the second part of your question?
No, I think that was it. It was like how do we make Black History Month 365 cornerstone in our communities, in our households, in our book like in our Black culture.
Okay. Well, I can add to the community part.
Okay.
So in the community part, when we do more volunteer work, like go to different schools and read books, it's important. Representation matters. So it's important for you to bring positive models or positive role models within these school systems. Like bring movies like entertainment movies, but also has like a message behind them, like Selma, Hidden Figures. It's also good when you're teaching your child or your children how to read. Also allow them to read Black books with Black characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, this summer I was helping my little cousin, and she loved princesses, but for some reason she always gravitated towards white princess books, not knowing that subconsciously affecting how do you view yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. So me being a graduate of 2 HBCUs, I practiced reading with her with Black princess books. So now when she look at that book, she will see this is a reflection of me. And the great thing about supporting Black-owned businesses and Black authors and Black entrepreneurship is the fact that you are also supporting another family unit. Therefore, you are keeping the money within your community. So that is also uplifting Black community ownership, the quantum principles, supporting, uplifting each other. So I think it's a never-ending cycle. So when you see someone that needs help, or you see someone that you can give a lending hand to, just offer it. Even if you don't have the resources to, it's good to know that you have another Black brother or a Black sister there that can support you.
I thought Shawan answered it very well. I'm just gonna add to what she was saying. I think community is key. I think every Black family should start with their own history by explaining to each generation, this is what your great grandfather did or great grandmother did, the struggles and this and that, and also within our community, just like she said, even if it's just reading a Black book or coming across a Black book or going out of your way to pay the little extra fee so that our little girls have the Black doll instead of the white doll, just for imagery's sake and for self-esteem. Really, it's not like we're trying to put another race down or anything. It's just that this is a little Black girl. She should have a little Black doll or a Black book to read out of for self-empowerment, because that is important to have good self-esteem about oneself, because it's not always portrayed in the media in a positive light. Black women are Black men, so we should also try to encourage people that already have programs set up for inner city youth or Black little girls groups or little boys groups. We should start coming more so together with lending helping hands to that. Whatever that we could do, whatever gifts and talents, because a lot of times we think that, especially now, a lot of us we're all majored in different things on this panel, and there's someone that looks like you that is also interested in that. So just us, following our passion and linking up with other like-minded people who have the same objectives and goals, I think that would also add great value to our community as well.
I think that I'm going to start with by saying each one teach one. The children need to learn more about themselves. They need to learn more about other cultures, that other kids and other people in their environments. It starts with in the home, as I said earlier. But if more love is incorporated within those teaching lessons, saying for the parents and other family members, telling them that I love you more often, not just saying it but showing it, that also helps to, like these two sisters have said, to raise their self-esteem, and that's so very important, because then they'll grow up to be strong people, and they'll love themselves, they'll love others, as God has intended for everyone to do, and also for the children to get more involved in, I would say, the STEM programs. I see a lot of that now these days. I wish that I would have had that available. I guess it may have been, but I didn't know about it. I guess my mom didn't know about it back then, back in the 70s, because I'm in my late 40s, and I'm a older grad student, older college student. But with that being said, the STEM program is a very good focal point to bring our young people up to par with their learning skills, and to be able to excel with their peers of other cultures. And so that is something that would be good for our people to continue, because they are the next generation coming up, and they deserve the best in life.
Ladies, very well said. Thank you guys. Thank you all. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming out and being a part of the panel. I appreciate your insight, your critiques, your viewpoints so much. And before we go, one quick note I need to make about the Grind Conference. For more information on the Grind Conference, please feel free to email Miss Paris Atkins Jackson. Her email is paadk1@morgan.edu. That's paadk1@morgan.edu. Thank you so much for tuning in to GradTV. I'm David Lawrence, and we will see you next time.